and welcome to Mostly Minnesota Music Podcast Edition. I'm Ann Tracy. I'm here with my co-host,
Heather Baker.
Yes, and we are delighted today to be here with Rich Mattson and Germaine Gemberling. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for everything you're doing, and thanks a lot for having us on the show.
Oh, we're delighted. We're delighted. We're big fans. We've seen you guys play a number of times. I think everybody's seen you guys play one permutation or another a number of times.
I hope so. We've been at it for enough years where, 10 people at a time, it's probably everybody's seen us in one shape or form.
That's funny. That's funny. I usually ask people to kind of introduce yourself. And one, you guys don't need as much of an introduction. And I just read, you have an amazing web page with all the history of everything.
I started on that web page with the bio. I started that probably when I was still with the Glen Russells, and I just kept adding on to it and adding on to it and adding on to it. And sometimes I scroll through it and I just kind of laugh. I'm like, God, should I edit this? And then no, I'll just keep adding to it. And maybe somebody will read the whole thing or parts of it. It's fun.
I just read the whole thing, and it's especially fun if you're like, oh gosh, I remember that. I remember that. It's a little walk down memory lane.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I was thinking today, this is the longest I've gone without playing music with my friends, with the drummer and bass and everybody, like rehearsing or playing shows since about 1979.
Wow. Do you guys have rehearsals at home then? Like 3 o'clock, don't be late. I'll meet you in the living room.
Yeah, well, Germaine and I have been practicing now and then.
Yeah.
But,
it's different when you don't have the full band here. It's a little less mode. I mean, we try.
I feel like my ears are ringing from all the silence. Not used to that. It's hot.
Yeah, you may be able, and you sort of let us know you're kind of in your basement studio now, you were saying to us.
Yeah, it's actually what in about 2005, I got this crazy idea to start looking at properties on the Iron Range. That's where I grew up, and my mom still lives up here. And I came across this Apostolic Lutheran church about 7 miles from where my mom lives. And it was for sale, and I said, I'm gonna go look at that church and just check it out. It was a really decent price, and I took one look inside the door and I just was overwhelmed with this feeling like this is perfect, and I walked through and I like, God, I couldn't get it off my mind. I went back to Minneapolis where I was living, and I just kept thinking about this place, and eventually I looked at it again, and then I came back and looked at it again and wound up getting the place, and that's where I built the studio. And it's been a journey.
I bet it has. And now, are we looking at the Garden of Eden behind you? Did they have the snake painting here before you came?
Sparta, in the jungle.
Yeah, the snake.
This is the room. I usually put a drum kit in here, or I'll put a singer.
Booth,
it's like it's an isolation booth for the studio, but I like the backdrop, and Germaine does too.
I do. I love doing my vocals in here too. I mean, sometimes we'll do them in the control room, or I'll do them out in the live room, but it's fun to do them in here too.
I can see why. Why. And of course, you sound awesome as we're speaking to you, so that's good.
Oh,
Cool.
What else you done? But we are here to talk about, you have a new album coming out.
Skylights
on February 5th.
Yep.
Is it true that it's your very first full album on vinyl?
This is my first full-length vinyl record. I've been putting out CDs. Well, it started with demo tapes, and then we made a few 7-inch records, 45s over the years. But this is, that the vinyl LP is always just out of my reach. I don't know. It's like it takes so long to get them manufactured. It costs an extra $1,000, and we got the CDs back, and we're like, "Yay, we're done! Let's get this out. Let's do some shows, and then on to the next one." So I talked to a friend of mine. His name is Joel Almberg, and he started a label a few years ago called Pour L'Amour Records. And he told me that if we ever wanted to do vinyl, to talk to him, you know, he'd work with us. And you know, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago that we had this conversation, and we were just finishing up Skylights, and I said, gosh, hey, Joel, are you still doing this label thing? Because I think we really want to do it, you know. And he was all for it, and we kept talking, and here we are. We're finally making vinyl. And let me tell you, we got the test pressings back about a week ago, and I put that thing on, and I got chills. I was like, why haven't I been doing this? It's crazy, because it just I listen to records a lot. I mean, that's my favorite. I hear the difference. I love the sound of it and the warmth.
Yeah.
And you know, our music, it's mid-range. You know, it's not like it's not techno. It's not like all these super deep sounds or super, you know, or you know, it's
Guitars,
rock and roll.
drums,
It's guitars,
bass.
drums. I mean, my voice is all it's mid-range, and that's the sonic. I'm just saying, you know, sonically it fits our music.
He said our music
I'm
is
really,
made
I'm
for
really
vinyl.
happy. Yeah, yeah, I'm super happy with it.
There's something comfortable and luxurious about an album, and your music is kind of comfortable and luxurious. I mean, it's a good fit.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a little time space thing, so just to let you know that sometimes you freeze for just
Delay.
a second. So if we're slow to reply, that's why. Okay, we're having some technical difficulties. We've paused, but now we're back because we just started talking about the new album, about and emphasis on album, on the actual heart record, which is amazing.
The record.
The record, yeah, the actual, yeah. How this seems to be a compilation
And
of
we did make CDs.
Okay. Well, yes, yeah, you did. Yeah, I imagine you did. The songs on it seem to be a compilation of things that you've done for a while now. You know, when did it start? How did you start? How did you select what to put on the album?
On the record? On this new one?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of go like one after another with I'm constantly working on song. The last album was called Totem, and that came out, and you know, by the time it goes around that, I was working on some new songs, and so by the time we started working on this album about a year ago in January. So, I mean, there aren't a bunch of quarantine songs on this album. You'd think it'd be songs about, oh, this is dragging on too long, but I'm starting to get into those now. Like these songs are more about just living our life, and you know, like that song In Flight. We took a trip to Las Vegas a year ago, and In Flight was just about being on the airplane. I don't mind flying on a jet plane. It's pretty neat, really, and I like sitting by the window. So all those pictures in that video, I was just taking pictures out the window. But I hate being in that tight little chair where you're just cramped in there. Another song we wrote while we were out there, we're not gamblers or anything. We went to Death Valley, and
Love that one.
we wrote that song Death Valley, about Death Valley.
That's a dog.
And wrote a couple of songs.
Got a guest appearance there.
and Ryan Young plays fiddle on one of those songs. Germaine's always writing too.
Yep, that's kind of how we met. Well, it is how we met through music, but
Yeah.
this album I have the 2 songs that I wrote, and it was great to have Ryan Young. He's played with us for over the years. During the TBT time off, we were lucky enough to have him a little more regularly. So Island on the one song, Kiss the Sky with him, and then Keith Sicola joined us on the album too for a song, and then I did another song called How Can It Be? But yeah, we're either co-writing or writing our own songs and bringing them together to each other. And
I'm starting, like I said, I'm starting to get into the COVID songs now. I've got about 6 or 7 new songs that we've been recording them remotely. Our drummer Keely Lane, he's got a drum studio in Wyoming, Minnesota, and he can do his drum tracks from there. And our bass player Kyle Westrick, he lives in Duluth, so he's been able to record some tracks there, and we've been working on some new stuff now.
Nice. And what's the mood of the COVID songs? I mean, your work all seems to be so very autobiographical. I mean, are they?
Well, they're kind of funny in a way. Like my favorite new one that hasn't come out yet. It's called Greetings from the Island of Guitars.
It's my new favorite of his.
It's
sure.
kind of, that's exactly what it's about, because I can't really go anywhere and do anything, but I got a little room with a bunch of guitars.
You can go to the island.
It's kind of self-appreciating humor, but I mean, I've always written kind of autobiographically, but there's also stuff that I just kind of leave it up to the listener to decide what it's about too. And I don't really like to get into details because I have my own interpretation of it, and I just follow the muse and keep on doing it. I wake up in the morning and I'll start humming a song in my head, and if I have enough time or patience, I'll sit and try and work it into something, or else I'll say, oh wait, that's a Beatles song or something that everybody.
So if I were to ask you on your song Iowa, who is Doug Marsh? You
Doug
can't.
From Built to Spill.
Okay. I was like, I didn't even look it up. I was like, I'm just gonna ask who that is.
He spells it funny. It's Martsch. He puts all the consonants in there, but it's true. When Old Yeller when we made our first album, we sent that out to a lot of people, and I was checking out. It was around Christmas time, and I was buying Christmas presents. I was buying something at Old Navy or something, and it was in the early days of the cell phone, so I had this little flip phone, and my phone's ringing. I'm checking out and buying some goods, and I open it up. And I don't recognize the number, and I answer it, and he goes, "Hi, Rich. This is Doug Marsh from Built to Spill. I have your album here, and I got to say, I really like your sound, And I'm going, you got to be kidding me. And I couldn't really believe it was him. And, I'm in line at the store, and I'm just going, well, thanks a lot, Doug. And I kind of I wasn't convinced that it was him. But then years later, we actually played a show with them. And he said, we finally get to do a show together. I'm like, wow, he remembers.
It really was you.
What a guy. I mean, I want to go on the road with him. He seems like a really cool, really, really nice guy. And I love the band. I mean, they're huge.
I was going to say, I would have turned around and said, everybody gets a sweater or something throughout Old Navy. It's on me.
I don't even know how I got a copy of that record. Maybe he bought it in a store, I guess. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened in Boise, Idaho.
Love that story.
Well, and that's the one we're listening to Iowa thinking this is, I mean, it is autobiographical, but as you say, you don't, I love the details, but that I can make of it what I want. You know, you're not, it's images more
Yeah.
than, you know.
Yeah, that one is pretty autobiographical. I mean, I mean, we've done a few road trips with this band, and you know, like we're playing in like Mankato or something, and we're setting up, and it's just like, God, is anybody gonna be here tonight? I don't know. Is anyone coming? I don't know anybody in Mankato. I know 3 people. I hope they show up. You know, and we're, you know, we're so ready to rock, you know, and we want people to come.
That's
Well,
it's
that's-
funny to think that you would be worried about that because you know, as I said, to me, you guys are well known and the shows I've gone to, and it's, you know, of course, it's heartening to hear that there's always a little part of you that goes, oh,
Yeah, I would guess that a lot of these bands that go out and play around the country, you know, they wind up in these parts unknown where they just don't know what's going to happen, and that's the excitement of it. Sometimes it's just glorious and that's awesome, and other times you just kind of wondering, well, what are we doing here, you know? But as long as you have good friends to play with, it's worth it.
My dog's got a lot to say in the background there.
Go ahead.
well, and I because you talked a little bit about you guys, I just said because it is so autobiographical, I give you an opportunity to tell a little bit about how you guys did get together. You've
Yep.
known each other for a long time, and
We
then
did meet back in the days of when our first bands in Minneapolis, when he was in the Glen Russells, I was in an all-girl punk rock band called Smut. And we signed to Lori Barbeiro's Larry Bill Spanish Fly. And so really had a lot of fun, you know, doing that in the early 90s. And that's kind of how we met. And like, I would go to parties at his house and I probably wouldn't even see you. And we'd never even really
We
hung
didn't
out,
really talk.
but we knew who each other were. And we'd even
I was
like
afraid
be
of
on
her.
the same bill, you know, bills together and stuff like that. All our friends were friends, and you know how it was. And then later, you know, I moved to Ely in 1998 and lived in Ely from 1998 till I moved in with Rich in 2010. So we rekindled our friendship, and I started doing recording here and 2007, and then he started playing guitar on some of his stuff, and then, well, you know, here we are, and we started co-writing and making records and music, and 11 years later.
We've made how many? We've made about 8 albums together.
Maybe even
Is it
more.
8?
It might be more now. It seems like it usually is about one a year.
When you live in a recording studio, you kind of gotta. That's what I always say.
that's true. That's
So we
true.
keep on making music.
Yeah, and it must be
For better
interesting.
or worse.
Yeah. Sorry, there's just that little gap. It must be interesting to live with the person you work with, to make music with, is that fun, easy, hard? Yes.
Well, we killed it.
I mean, sometimes we have me time, and it's okay. Our house is big enough.
I mean, this whole COVID quarantine and everything, I can't have people come in the studio and spend the night like they used to. I mean, the big attraction of having this place up here, there's room for people to crash, and you know, we'll have bands here for a whole week and work on records, and it's so much fun. And with COVID, we can't do that. And Germaine's other job is she's a massage therapist, and so we're home a lot.
We're home all the time.
And you know, what I've been doing is a lot of cross country skiing, a lot of snowshoeing, some ice fishing, just getting out and enjoying the, you know.
We embrace the elements. You have to if you live up here. I mean, we are through and through Minnesotans, but if you live up north, you know, you put on those snow pants and mucklucks and you just go out there.
Well, like I said earlier, you know, it's been, this is the longest I've gone without rocking with my friends, you know. It's weird. Can't wait for, you know, the weather to warm up so we can.
Yeah, because summer was nice for that.
I was sad to see that I missed you guys play at the Theater Worth. Is it Mill Valley Market or whatever? Oh my God.
I keep forgetting.
Yep.
Yeah. That was so much fun. And that was
so
that was right at the end of the season. We were so cold.
It was almost like what, 30 something degrees? Oh my gosh.
And get this, so we played at that Theo Worth there, and my nephew was getting married that weekend. So the following night, we were scheduled to play at his wedding reception too. Stars for a long time. We had the band with us. And we were actually camping in a tent that weekend.
Oh.
It was a Harvest Moon weekend.
Yeah, it was in the 30s, and we were camping that weekend. But we brought
Tons of
about
blankets.
5 sleeping bags, 6 pillows. You know, we were
Snow pants in October.
I've done some winter camping, so it was crazy, but we did it.
I was gonna say, that's impressive. That's impressive. I hope you guys go play there again because I don't want to miss it. When I looked that up, I was like, oh, so it's a cool area.
Yeah, I think they're going to do it again this summer. I want to talk to Larry Sahagian, I
Yeah.
believe is booking it. So
I would love to play there again. It was great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you able to play some other shows before
Yeah.
it got too cold?
Yeah, we played at Earth Rider in Superior a couple times, and then
Yeah.
there was a few shows up on the Iron Range, and
They were all outdoor park shows. It actually worked out really well. Good weather somehow for all of them.
and the thing about playing outdoors, it sounds so much different from when you're in a club. I mean, as a performer, there's none of that natural reverb, or you know, it's not that boxy sound. The sound just vanishes, and you could be playing pretty loud and it doesn't seem like it's as loud as it is when you're inside. And it's weird because it takes a little getting used to, but I kind of got used to playing outside last summer, and I think we all did. And it's kind of nice.
Oh, I was gonna ask if you thought it was nice because it's like I love an outdoor music event, but then it's weird because it's daylight, so you're like staring at everybody. So I didn't know for you guys if it was like, oh God, I could see everything, or if it's like you're saying you kind of like it. What's
I
the
like it. I'm all for the earlier shows these days, but
That's fine.
And I like it at It's Fine. I got that.
Yeah.
All right, now so you say you've been writing songs. I mean, how do you creatively fill the time when you're not able to perform as often as you were?
Well, sometime in March. Well, no, it was my sister's birthday, March 20th, and I said, I think I'll do a Facebook Live. I'll do a concert for you, Annie. And she said, yeah, play a concert for me. And everybody was getting into doing the Facebook Live thing and stuff, and I'm like, well, I guess I got to try that now, you know, give that a shot. And I did a little practice run, and it sounded terrible, and it was all glitchy. I don't know if I got a bad internet connection here or what.
we live in the woods.
But I said, well, you know what? I think I'll just make a video for her. So I recorded her favorite song. It's called Rain on the Trailer. And I recorded that for her. And I put it on YouTube. And I was like, well, while I'm at it, I'll do a couple more. And I did 3 songs. And starting on that day, from March 20th until, what was it, like
Like June-ish or July maybe?
yeah, for like 3 months, I was 2 or 3 months. I recorded 3 songs a day and posted them on YouTube. Like every day, I came in the studio and just went through my whole catalog and covers and original stuff, and I just kept recording them and posting them. And every day I'd post the 3 songs on Facebook, and then they'd be on. They're still on YouTube. They're on my YouTube channel, and that was really fun for a while. And then I stopped doing it, and I kind of took a deep breath and went, oof, that was enough, I guess. You know, on to the next thing. And so yeah, and finishing the Skylights album, we had a lot of work to do on that. And there was a couple other projects that I worked on over the summer. Brianne Marie and the Front Porch Sinners came and recorded an album, all masked and socially distanced. That was freaky. Who else did I record last summer? I had several projects that were in the works that I was still working on. And right about now, I'm like caught up to the point where I need to find something to do. And that's good because our record's going to be out, and I'll find things to do.
You live like I live, super busy, and then
Yeah,
breathe for a minute and gotta go find something new.
it's weird just being on our own time, you know.
We used to always say how maybe we would take just a few months off or something someday. And we love to go on road trips and go to national parks, and it's one of our favorite things ever, and we always would do a couple week trip every year. But yeah, now it's like, now I haven't worked beyond, I mean, we barely have for almost a year, so except for working on our music. Of course it's still working, but of course different. But
We're just learning how to be very frugal.
yeah, if you don't go anywhere, you don't spend money.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
it's sad, but
I
what do you
mean,
do?
there's always bills to pay and
Yeah.
whatever, but
We're making the best of it.
yeah. And I've got a lot of people waiting in line for the studio, and it's great. I've got this list. It's getting longer and longer where, okay, when it's time to go,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be busy. And I can't wait. I just love recording, and I love working with musicians, and I love music people. I just can't get enough of it.
Well, and it's got to be a fruitful time for people who are writing music. Yeah, I'd say you could be.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are getting into the home recording too. And one thing that's gotten more and more popular is people just, like, if somebody wanted a guitar track from me, I'd love to play guitar on somebody's stuff, and I can just email it to them, and I'm getting tracks from all over the place. And just, now with what's happening with COVID and everything, people are making records without even seeing each other or being in the same room. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. I don't want to keep doing it this way, but it's possible.
It will be nice to go back to what was, but I think of how much more tech savvy all kind of as an industry everybody will be, and it'll be interesting to see what develops because of that.
Yeah, I talked to somebody who I was like, can you do a track for me and email it to me? And they're, I don't want to mess around with that. I'm like, man, you're missing out. You gotta get into it. Learn how to do it. It's not that hard. And
that could be your next YouTube venture. You could teach people how to do that.
I'm not that great at it, but I know how to do it.
Well, that's pretty good. That's well, I want to go back to the album a little bit because we started talking. So I was loving when you were kind of going through the song through song explanation, and I wanted to ask a little bit about Another Stupid Song because I like that song so much.
Well, that's a rocker. I guess that's just, I don't know, it just came off the top of my head, just one day, just kind of being frustrated and trying to get some thoughts across. And yeah, I made a video for it. And, you know, we're going to do our CD release show. It's going to be virtual. We're doing a virtual CD release show. And I mess around with this iMovie on this MacBook. And I've stitched together these little, well, that's what I did all those videos I was talking about earlier on. But we're also putting music to these home videos and making them our official world premiere videos. And
It'll be like a mini movie.
so what our CD, I will say CD release show, our record release or our album release, it's going to be a half hour of these homemade videos.
We both make them. We both love using the iMovie. It's fun.
And I'm going to do a little walk around Sparta and a little studio tour and some other stuff. Surprises.
I love that idea.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's turning out pretty good. We were working on it a little bit today.
Yeah. You guys usually do your videos and stuff normally for your past?
All of them.
Yeah, I'll tell you a secret.
Oh, really?
I have a pseudonym that I came up with back when I played bass in the band called The Odd. And his name is Reggie Pipe. And Reggie Pipe does all the graphic design and video work. It's me, but
yeah. And then I make videos too, but I just go under my name.
He's Sunny G.
Well, I can do that.
Sunny G.
I love it.
And it sounds like you do collaborate on that, like you do that separately and then collaboratively as well.
Yes.
Nice. Can you let us know exactly what we're to expect on the release on the 5th? Because that would be, I think a tour of Sparta would be fun. I think.
Yeah, it's a bunch of like 1 or 2 minute videos strung together, and then there's going to be there's 4 songs from the album with like videos, like MTV style videos.
Yeah, world premiere.
It's not with the iPhone, but what the heck, you know?
It's fun.
I mean, we're not a big budget band, so we do as much as we can just on our own, and we have fun with it.
Well, I loved the in-flight video. I do not feel like you do about flying. I'm terrified of flying, and I just fun to hear that you did the filming while on airplane. I mean, I guess I figured that probably somebody did it filming off an airplane, but it made my palms sweat. But I love that combination with the music, you know, that you'd have sort of an actual physical reaction while listening to music. It was like a cheap high.
Thanks. Are you still there? Okay.
Yeah, now we're back.
Yeah. I love the window seat. And I liked sitting in the window seat, and especially it was a clear day. So I just kept looking out, and we were going from Minneapolis to Las Vegas, and I kept taking pictures the whole way. I probably took 50 pictures or something. And I didn't know at the time that the song was even going to be called In Flight, but I think I wrote the lyrics on the way home.
It was on the way home, and we were like one of 6 people on the plane landing in Duluth. It was like super late, and I mean, they're like, you can sit wherever you want. It was right before everything was starting to happen with COVID, and it was like, we never would have chosen to go to Vegas, but somebody gave us a gift to go there, so we just
that was some good Minnesota guilt.
You know, I had this joke going to Vegas. I told everybody I'm giving myself $20 to gamble with, and whatever happens. happened.
We never did.
You know, we never got around to it.
We were hiking in parks. We went to Death Valley.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Whatever. To each his own.
I was there for a conference one time, and it was a very techie conference, and I invited my mom, who does know what to do at a casino. So I think she was in Arizona, but came over, and they told me quickly that during the tech conferences, no one gambles. They're like, oh no, it's a lot of guys. Those guys know the odds. They don't gamble.
So funny. You know, the best part was we took a Uber to the airport, and the driver asked us, did you win anything? And I said, no, we don't gamble. He goes, oh, then you won.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. So that's kind of so you got one trip. You could write this off as a work trip. So you got the in-flight, and you got the Death Valley.
Gosh.
Yeah. It was a
I like
songwriting
thinking.
excursion.
Yeah.
I like listening to Death Valley, especially now, because the heat so suffocating.
Yeah, and the funny thing was when we were there,
It wasn't.
I didn't even bring a jacket, and that's I think I put that in the lyrics. We were at Zabriskie Point, which was one of the first stops, and we get out of the car, and it was just had to be like 40 mile an hour winds, and I'm wearing a t-shirt, and I'm like, it's supposed to be hot here.
And I'm always cold, so I have my like winter coat and my hat, and I'm like, sorry.
But we still ran out and
took pictures.
did the thing, and
You have to.
Yeah, and then probably a week later it was 105 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, the desert's like that.
Yeah.
Which would I prefer? Tough. Today I say 105. That's because it was 9 degrees here today. So today I'd like that hot. So how many, between the two of you, how many songs do you write in a week? You just make it seem like it's just.
He's got me beat for sure. But I mean, I have a lot of half-written songs sometimes that I'll revisit and come back to. But I think Rich, he's definitely probably writing more songs than me. But yeah, I kind of go in phases. Like sometimes I'll like write a few at a time, and then I won't write some for a while, and then I'll come back and there'll be just like one, or maybe there'll be a couple at a time. It's just there's just that ebb and flow thing. It's just
Yeah, and in a week, sometimes 0, sometimes 2 or 3, but I think in over the course of a year, I'll have 12 good ones that I feel are worthy to get on a record. But there's a few that don't quite make it, or I'm always recording little snippets and ideas and stuff. But
that would be. Do you ever have songs that they're never going to be one of the top 12, but you just love them?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a couple like that are just they're just there, and yeah, I can think of a couple.
Actually,
right now.
The song on Skylights, it's called "Morbid Fanatic."
Yeah, that's the one you'd have to dance to.
Yeah, that I've been kicking that one around for probably 5 or 6 years. I had a demo of it that I was just like, God, this is rocking. Why can't we play this song? And we'd try it, and it
wasn't fitting with the other albums.
It just wasn't working. And this time around, I just said, we got to record Morbid Fanatic, and we did it. I love how it turned out. But yeah, I'll record demos of the songs, and sometimes I get hooked on the demo where we'll start working on it with the band. It's just like, let's move on to something else.
Come back to it later. Yeah, I love that. Was when I was like, oh, if this were live, you dream in the middle of the afternoon. I'm like, if this were live, this would be the one where I'd be like, come on, guys, we're going on the dance floor.
All right.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it.
There's a new wave thing in it that we don't really do very much.
It was. I liked it. I liked your sound. I like your sound in general. I think it's and there's something very Minnesotan about it to me. You know, you listen and you're like, yeah, this could be this, you know, this is in the same vein of a Jayhawk or, you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
even Troubled by Turtles. I don't know if people outside of Minnesota would recognize that or not, but I'm like, there's just something comfortable, like it's familiar, but it's new, and each song is nuanced, but there is that undercurrent of I know where this comes from. I love that.
Cool. Well, we love Minnesota. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm born and raised here. Actually, I spent 2 years in high school. I lived in Colorado. So like 1982, the mines were, the iron ore or taconite mines were shutting down here on the Iron Range. And our family up and moved to Longmont, Colorado. So I went to high school, 10th and 11th grade in Colorado. I loved it there. It was really a kind of a mind-blowing experience for a teenager. It really opened my mind to, well, I mean, they had punk rock and they had Boulder, Colorado, mountains, and I got my driver's license and we'd go driving around in the mountains and cruising Main Street, and it was just whoa. And then we moved back to Evelyn in my senior year, so we were back to the same house I grew up in. We rented it while we were gone, but that's the only time I didn't live in Minnesota. I just loved. I'm proud to be from Minnesota.
Oh,
and
yeah, me
you know,
too.
so that's cool that we sound like we're Minnesota. You know, that's a compliment.
And growing up in St. Paul, if you grew up in St. Paul, for me at the time, I was, you know, in the early 80s, I was crossing that Lake Street Bridge and getting uptown and hanging out, and then taking the 94B bus downtown to go to all ages shows at the main room when I was like 12.
She
you
was
know?
an early bloomer.
At
you
12,
know,
I got
but
to
she
see my
was-
first Replacements concert ever in the main room because they did all ages shows on Sunday.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And actually is responsible for introducing me to all that awesome music, and you know, just really, yeah, like, and then up to the woods I go by 26 and 98, and I haven't left, so I've been up here 23 years now. So Ely for 13 years and here for almost 11. So
That's
Yeah.
a commitment to be going up. I mean, if you're a city kid, to go up, I love that area and I do a lot of work in that area, but I don't know if I'm moving up there.
right.
Yeah, I tell you, when it was 1987 when I moved to Minneapolis, and I never in a million years thought I'd move back to the Iron Range. I was just like, done. You know, I love Minneapolis, and I had a blast in Minneapolis. I really did. I love the Twin Cities, and we had a lot of really good friends there that I still keep in touch with. And God, we haven't been there in almost a year now, and it's just a strange feeling. We miss it.
Well, we did do our show down there for the
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
We haven't been there since what, October?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all my family's from down there, of course. But right now, you know, can't go hug mom right now just cause, and obviously we all know why. And hopefully
Yeah,
change soon.
hopefully, yeah.
It
Well,
has-
because between the two of you, you guys have been in so many different bands. Can I ask you? I would love to have just a little retrospective of what bands you were in and how they fit together, and you know, thinking about the '80s.
Yep. You want to start?
Yeah, well, I started in 81 with my cousin Mark. We had a band called Easy Tilt. And then it was then when we moved to Colorado, I had a band called Alibi. Alibi. And then when we moved back, we got some of the guys back together from Easy Tilt, and we were called the Imports. And after that, the Imports all moved to Minneapolis and promptly broke up. And I started the Glen Russells. And the Glen Russells went for probably about 15 years or
You
something.
guys are a long time, yeah.
Yeah, it was we tried to make it work towards the end there. And then I started Old Yeller. And Old Yeller kind of, we had a few different lineups. And then when I moved up here, I figured I should get a band going with people a little closer to where I live, and got together with the Tisdales. And after the Tisdales broke up, then Old Yeller got back together, and I was seeing Germaine, and we started playing music together. And I still play with the Bitter Spills. That's Baby Grant Johnson. It's just Grant and I with our folk duo. We're keeping the folk tradition alive. And then when the Old Yeller reunion kind of ran its course, we started the North Stars. Oh, and of course, we had our band together called Junk Boat with Al Schroeder from the Blue Hippos, Otto's Chemical Lounge, and
Yep.
David Loy from the
David.
Urban Gorillas and the Widgets.
yeah.
But then,
God, I haven't heard that name in so, wow.
so well, I was 17 years old and always wanted to be in a band. And I happened to be working at the Upper Crust, which was in Minneapolis, and it was right across from Twin Tone, the original building that they had their business in, records. And so musicians would always come over, you know, and stuff. And I was like, oh God, you know, we just wanted to start a band. And so in '89, I started a band called Smut with 3 other ladies. And we are all still wonderful friends to this day. And we had a great time. We signed with Lori Barbero's label Spanish Fly, and then so we were on that Twin Tone Records and Restless Records. And I left the band in right before '95. We had made our first record, and they kept going for another record after that. And funny thing is, one of the other gals in the band's name was Germaine, and she married at the time the Al Schroeder, who was in the Blue Hippos and Otto's Chemical Lounge. And so he had moved to Ely, and Grant Young from Soul Asylum and his, he had owned Northern Air Resort up there. I worked up there when I moved to Ely. So I worked at that resort the first year that they were open.
You know, I did some website work for them. I totally forgot about that. That's, sorry, I had to, I was like, that name. Go on, sorry.
No. And so when I was up there, there were already this like transplants of Minneapolis musicians up there. And so Grant and Al and I and a couple other people would get together, right? My ex-husband at the time, we all got together and we would play in this big old pole barn or at the, you know, resort, or just we had places where we got together. And so we had a band for a while that went and changed a couple different names. It was just an excuse to get together.
Enablers, then the
Then
Darn Losers.
Then we went to Shotgun Daisy. And then from that band, it morphed into
Junk Boat.
Yeah, you joined us with Junk Boat, Al and David Loy and Rich and I, and we put out an album in 2010. And then Old Yeller supported me on a solo album that I did through Chaperone Records that was a Duluth record label. And then after that, one thing that kept happening is that Rich and I kept writing songs, but the members of the bands kept changing. So we agreed that we had to come up with one thing that would stay the same, and that would have to be the band name, because you can't keep changing band names. So Rich Mattson and the North Stars came about in 2014 with a couple different member changes, but here we are. Still doing it.
The original Rich Mattson and the North Stars, we had the bass player was the bass player from the Imports, which was our high school band in Evelyn, Russell Burgum, and he's a doctor, and he was, he's a very professional person, really educated and a great bass player. He's the guy that got us all turned on, being in a small town. We got all our music from Russell's big brother, and it was all this new wave stuff. So I have that influence, and anyway, Russell was great, but he moved to Rochester, and I'm like, oh geez, now we gotta figure out what we're gonna do for a bass player. And we came across Kyle. Kyle was playing in a few bands up north. He lived in Ely.
Yeah, we met in Ely many years ago.
And he was filling in for Russell at first, and eventually I just said, you should just join our band, and he's still with us to this day. Just the best bass player. I mean, he's just top notch. I just love the guy, and just a great person, and just always ready to go. And whatever plans we make, he's like, yeah, I'm in. Sure, sounds good. And it's like, where have you been all my life, buddy? He's up for whatever. We're gonna go play in a barn in the middle of Crosby, Minnesota. Where's that? I'm in. He loves playing.
Well, and what an impact that the band and you two have had on that area around Sparta.
It's been really fun to watch. We started this thing. I mean, the Iron Range was kind of a cover band place where, I mean, it was all covers, and the same old crap, where after a while you're just like, God, if they do Margaritaville, I'm out of here, and then they do Margaritaville, and not only did they do it, they destroy it, and it's just, and people started finding out about the studio, and all these freaks kept coming out of the woodwork, and you're just like, oh wow, there's a lot of good musicians up here writing songs. Why don't we go play a gig together? We'll play first, you guys play second, then we'll have another band. Like,
What a concept.
oh, nobody will go for that. They won't go for that. They only want cover bands. They go, nobody wants cover bands anymore. Let's go do some original music. We'll book it as original night, And we started this thing. We called it IROMA, the Iron Range Original Music Association, and it just kind of put a logo onto what we were doing, and everybody wanted to get in on it. And all of a sudden, there's about 10, 15 original bands playing gigs all over the Iron Range. And the clubs were loving it. And, you just go wander into any old bar and just say, hey, we want to play music in here, and we're going to put together a showcase. And, can you guys, they're like, how much money do you need? They're like, oh, you're going to pay us? Great.
3 pitchers.
They paid, it'd be no cover, but they'd pay the bands like a cover band.
Wow.
I'm not going to say how much because I don't want to blow the secret.
No, we won't. We're not going to ask. That's fantastic to have that kind of support too. And then, of course, a lot of that area, there are a lot of resorts.
Yeah, there's plenty of places to play if you go about it with the right, you get organized and put some minds together and work at it, and don't turn it into a big floppy party. I mean, well, you want it to be a party, but you just have professional sound. Somebody brings some good lighting, and stay on time. Don't start late, and they'll be like, oh, these guys can govern themselves. Let's do this more often. And it's exciting. People love going out and
and especially up here, because living where we do, and we're so isolated, there isn't any competition or anything else going on. So between, obviously Duluth, the Iron Range, and Ely and Grand Marais, it's amazing to me how much there is going on when it comes to music. It's really awesome.
Yeah, rural areas are kind of ripe for the picking. I mean, the new music that's coming out these days, and I'm not saying anything bad about it, but a lot of that stuff, you can't cover it. I mean, how do you do a cover of it that's not karaoke? So they have live.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's exciting and it's fun, and people want to get out and do stuff. I mean, they will want to get out and do stuff.
And one thing that we're really, lucky with all of these radio stations, is up here too, in Grand Marais radio station, Duluth, Ely.
KAXE.
Yeah, just so much support for musicians in the area, and it's great. It's just, it's really nice to be able to turn on the radio and hear bands that he recorded here, or ourselves, of course, or our friends' bands, it's great.
I'm thinking you guys need to have a rock and roll camp at your place in the summer, do your home videos, teach us all how to do it, and then do some songwriting.
Like our own version of like a folk school or yeah.
Yeah, and then go to each of the establishments and let the people test themselves out and stuff. I feel like you kind of have this community and the support with you too. I don't know.
In fact, we just started a radio show in Ely in October too, called Northland Rumble, that we do on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Rich and I, and it's all just vinyl, and it's an hour of music. And
Ooh.
So that's been something to fill some time too during the quarantine.
yeah,
Doing a radio show. It's just a 1 hour show, but it's
a lot of fun. It's very eclectic mix of music, variety, something for everyone.
Where is that on?
WELY, Ely.
Okay.
End of the road radio.
I gotta check it
I
out.
like that.
But yeah, all this stuff, it just kind of happens organically. We're not like trying to take over the world or the, we're just trying to be a good influence and trying to, get people out of their shells and,
Spread the love.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get out and boogie,
Yeah.
let your freak flag fly.
See, I would get behind it. I would do it. I'd come to the camp or whatever you got cooking. Sign me up.
Heck yeah. All right.
Well, it is funny because my day job relates to rural Minnesota and some of that stuff. I think that you will see an influx to rural areas, an outflux from the Twin Cities. After it's, I'm mostly from St. Paul, so I love St. Paul. I'm not, but one of the reasons I've always said I like to be in St. Paul is Monday nights I got choices of 4 places to go see music. That's not true anymore.
Yeah.
I know it'll be a slow creep into that, so I think suddenly you guys, you might be making your area the hottest commodity from now, but now the question would be, how would you feel about that? Also an influx of mood.
That's fine. It's crazy because the neighbor just moved out and I'm like, oh, maybe we can get some of our friends to move in, and now there's already somebody living there. And another house that we saw moving out, and this is in Sparta. There's only 7 houses on our block. And when a house opens up, we're kind of like, oh, is it for sale? We want our friends to move. But they got it figured out, I guess. But yeah, I think there's a lot of homes for sale up here, and I'd love it if more people moved up here.
Well, plenty of space, plenty to do. You said you got to embrace the winter there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I love winter.
We've been having so many bonfires this winter. We heat our home with a wood stove in addition to regular heat, but we got an extra cord of wood just for our bonfires. So we could
that's our
socially distant outside with some friends.
We can have some company over, 2 or 3 people, and hang out by the bonfire, get it nice and raging, and hang outside.
You're selling it.
Yeah,
I mean, that even appeals to me now. I'm like, all right.
It's like coming over.
A good pair of snow pants in the winter in Minnesota.
Yes, you must
just get some nice, like snowmobiler snow pants. You got it, and everything's fine.
A lot of Carhartt. I just add a lot of Carhartt.
Wear them to the grocery store. Everything. She wears them around the house.
I wear my snow pants in the house. That's how much I love my snow pants.
I keep it at 62 degrees.
Oh no. That's funny. Well, yeah, we'll have to. I said I'm so disappointed because normally I'd be heading up to Grand Rapids anyways a couple times a year. I'd be crashing your bonfires, but
yeah.
When the world opens.
Grand Rapids has a little scene going on. They've got the Grand Rapids Brewing Company and Clock Out. They've got, KAXE is there, so they've got the Reef Center. That's That's starting to happen over there.
Yeah, we did some goofy first COVID gigs, or the Reef Center had us in their parking lot with a
Oh, yeah.
drive-in.
Yeah,
Like
that
people
was
came
neat.
Ooh,
and they had us on a forklift.
Not a not a forklift.
Oh, scissor lift.
Scissor lift,
Sorry.
oh,
What's this? I
Yeah.
don't even know what a scissor lift is.
And then
cars
people
are
honk
beep, beep, beep.
for applause, and they tune you in on their radio in the car. Pretty neat.
that is well done to them. That's,
Yeah.
I have seen shows there, but I haven't seen any rate. That's good for them for doing that. That's,
Yeah, people are trying so many new ideas right now.
well, they've got the first Friday in Grand Rapids that I know that they're still trying to get people out to do stuff for some of that. So it's, well,
Yeah. Yeah, Grand
get
Rapids.
people, creative people like you, and then you get some, who knows? Who knows? The new Twin Cities might be moving up north here. Well, it'll be Evelyn and Sparta.
Yep.
Well, we still love getting down there. We can't wait
Oh,
to
yeah.
get back and
I know. I can't wait.
rock the cities again. Nothing like it.
Well, hopefully you can do a second release, or maybe you'll be, by that time you'll be releasing the COVID material, you know, this by summer. We don't.
I was telling Germaine, we got to get this stuff out, before too long, because nobody's even gonna want to think about this time. We got to get it. So we might
It was.
EP.
It was fun to hear songs that you're like, oh, it's little vacations. Like, each song is a little vacation. It's a little vignette of something that you can,
Yeah.
I have my one, because I'm looking at the time, my one last question at the King by Now.
Yeah.
I would say, how do you guys feel like you're the kings by now? King and queen?
Well, King by Now, that's a song by our friend Keith Sokola. Keith is from Parkville, which is just outside of Virginia, Minnesota.
Okay.
And now he lives down in Arizona, and we keep in touch. And I told him we wanted to put that song on our album, and we recorded a version of it. And he offered to play on it. So that's him playing the native flute and doing backup vocals.
Nice.
And yeah, it's just such a beautiful song. I don't know. It's just the way he tells it, he said that he wrote that song on their crappy household guitar that they had growing up. All the strings were broken except for 2 strings, and he was able to write a song with 2 strings.
And that was a
on
song.
that. Yeah.
You'd never guess that by hearing it, of course.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just put those little challenges in and you can rise to the, we used to teach writing at college, and either people embraced having to write the haiku or the sestina, or they did not, Sometimes you get some really creative material on 2 strings or on, special rhyming schemes. So that's.
Yeah, that'd be a neat challenge.
Well, for folks who are listening, tell us where we can find you online.
www.richmattsonmusic.com. That's my website, and it's got it's kind of a hub for all our Facebook pages, and there's a bio link. There's a link to Germaine. There's a link to, well, the link to Old Yeller goes back to our old website, but it's kind of like an archive. See where we were and where we've been and all that, and the bitter spills. It goes to our Facebook page, and there's a discography link right on that, richmattsonmusic.com, and that links to where all our CDs can be found, or digital downloads, anything, whatever you prefer. And all our stuff is on Spotify and Apple Music, iTunes. I go through CD Baby for distribution, digital distribution, so it should be easy to find, I would hope.
Nice. And you've got a whole new library of material on YouTube.
Yeah. I worry that's too much sometime, but I don't care.
No, it's, well, I mean, it's a former librarian. It's there for people to find.
I'll keep on doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I would never worry that it's too much. I mean, you worry about it too much when you're buying multiple ads on Facebook and I keep seeing you next to the lose weight now commercials, then I'll worry about you. But no, it's all there. I mean, it's fun to see. I think people now, I mean, we all have to do something and watch something at some point. So I think that's a great strategy. So
I try to keep it somewhat good.
sometimes I think be good or be a train wreck. Because I'll watch a train wreck too.
Exciting.
something interesting. We've got the record, the music, the album comes out on February 5th.
February 5th.
And there will be an online event for it.
Yep, and that's just basically what the online event. You don't have to be there at any specific time.
Okay.
I'm just gonna post this video probably at around noon, and then so it's going to be about a half-hour video, and I'll be checking back. And if anybody wants to ask a question or comment, we're going to be replying to the comments and questions, or it'll be kind of interactive, just.
But it's on anybody's time schedule. You just
And
watch
it'll
it
be
when
on Facebook, and it'll be on YouTube, and I'll probably link it through Twitter and Instagram, and I'll also send an email out to our email list too.
Nice. Well, I'm excited. I'm going to think of some smart question to ask now. So I can type it in during the event. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So yeah, and really enjoy all of the music. I mean, it's and I can't wait to hear Morbid Fanatic in person when I can dance. I don't know if it's my favorite song, but it's the one that I want. I mean, I like, because I like others too, but it's the one that I'm like, I want to see this one live.
It might be a train wreck, but we'll give it to you.
I just said
live, so
yeah.
Hope you're there.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping. Thank you both very much. Thank you for joining us and talking to us. This has been super fun.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.